Come to think of it, February the 2nd, 2022 it will be the time Chinese New Year celebrations are observed by Chinese families everywhere. These festivities are tied to the lunar calendar, usually falling somewhere in late January to mid-February. These times for family reunions come with many traditions, some of great significance. Buying and donning new clothes, giving our homes a good cleaning, and paying off outstanding debts remind us we're putting the past behind and starting the year with a clean slate. Hello, welcome to JNSF, our sales and marketing blog. By the way, these traditions also remind us to do our honorable duties as owners and employees in the families of SMEs and micro SMEs. Believe me, there is no better time to consider helping each other regardless of race, religion or politics. Just think as true Malaysian to help Malaysia to grow and prosper. Alright. Just a moment please. Before jumping into this week's SMES and SMIS bulletin, may I introduce myself as Madam Sophia, the virtual assistant to CTM Joseph NG, your sales and marketing e-coach and e-mentor. Without delay, here is an exciting and useful message for you. Breaking news: widening market reach for SMEs. Make no mistakes, any high-powered conference can certainly explore ways local entrepreneurs can tap trade opportunities in Singapore, China, and Indonesia. Believable? Johor will continue to pave the way for local small and medium enterprises, SME, to explore new markets in Singapore and China this year. Johor Unity, Trade, and Consumer Affairs Committee Chairman Dr. Chong Fat Full said SMEs needed assistance to reach bigger markets, especially in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, which limited their movements and opportunities. The state government just signed a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with the local government of Puyang City in China, so we expect to see more friendly talks and exchange of business opportunities in the future. The prefecture-level city, located in Henan Province, has a population 3 times of Malaysia, so we can imagine the boon it will be to our SMEs to become a new market for our local SMEs to explore and vice versa, he said after chairing the Malaysia, Johor, China-Singapore International Trade Video Conference in Kota Iskandar Puteri in Johor Bahru. Chong said the state recorded a total trade value of Rm 351.4 billion in 2020 out of the country's overall value of Rb 1,777.2 billion. The top 3 export destinations for Johor was Singapore, worth Rm 53 billion, which was 26.8% of the total value, followed by another Rm 23 billion, 11.3%, and with Rm 200 billion, 20%. China was the main import source for Johor at Rm 30 billion, 19.4%, then Singapore Rm 24 billion, 15.7%, and Indonesia at third place with Rm 10 billion accounting for 6.6%. Singapore's monthly import from Malaysia for food alone amounted to Rm 40 million in 2020, he said, adding that the figures showed that Malaysia, particularly Johor, was a conducive venue for grooming SMEs. This is due to the state's geographical location, with Singapore in the south and Indonesia to the west, and the exciting infrastructure such as the 2 main ports in Pasir Gudang and Tanjung Pelepas and other smaller ports, including a barter trade port in Batu Pahat. In 2020, a total of 613 projects were approved with investments of Rm 3.7 billion. Where foreign participation made up the bulk at 79.7% of investments, with most of them concentrated in wholesale and retail trade, said Chong. Distributive trade encompasses wholesale and retail trade, hypermarkets and supermarkets, department stores, direct selling and franchising, which include fruits like durian and mango, as well as petroleum-based products like soap and shampoo that can be found at hypermarkets. The approved projects will generate more than 18,000 job opportunities, making it the largest employer within the services sector, he said. During the conference, which Chong called a warm-up event for more future talks, he highlighted the vast investment opportunities in the northern part of Johor, especially in Tangkok and Segamat, where large industrial land banks are available at reasonable cost. He added that the state would organize more conferences in future and delve into specific sectors to give SMEs a better platform to discuss and learn about unexplored markets out there. Johor SMEs in the oil palm business and a company producing halal-certified plant-based products shared their business backgrounds and how their products could be exported to overseas markets, too. Besides that, Speakers from China and Singapore also highlighted the potential and policies for trade in their respective areas in the 2-hour session. Extracted and modified from open-source printed media. Dated January 18, 2022. By the way, are you pleased with this week's bulletin? I hope you do. As for myself, it is very inspiring. You ask why? These true down-to-earth sharing by helpful entrepreneurs from our Malaysians SMEs, China, Singapore, and Indonesia can help each other to survive well during the MCO and COVID-19 difficult periods. P.S. Please give us a thumbs up. Also do subscribe to our channel so you would not miss out any of our practical and useful video clips. We love your feedbacks to improve the quality of our weekly bulletin. Alright. PPS. Before we part company, may I introduce Madam Florence, another virtual assistant to CTM Joseph. She will deliver a free and without obligation a chapter from the book, How to Close Every Sale and Every Time. Until we meet again, this is Madam Sophia wishing you goodbye and happy selling. Thanks a million.
Thank you, Madam Sophia, for allowing me to share the other half of this week's bulletin. In case you don't know me, my name is Madam Florence, another virtual assistant to CTM Joseph NG, your sales and marketing e-coach and e-mentor. Without further ado, here is a completely 100% free chapter. With no strings attached. Alright. Chapter 20, Call Back Close or Lost Sales Close. Quote, the call back close, also known as the lost sales close, works best when the detective seller has given up and is literally saying goodbye to the perpetrator prospect. By Michelangelo Caruso. He is an internationally recognized author and speaker. He's the founder of Edison House, a Michigan-based communications consulting company. You may have heard this quote. Winners never quit. Quitters never win. Yet it is most appropriate to quote this saying at this juncture. Believe me, research has proven that it is practiced by great salespeople. They even need to close stubborn sales by trying to close as many as 6 times. True. Joke aside, needless to say, when all else has failed, using the lost sales close technique can be effective. Such a close is a last-ditch effort. You use it when all of your other closing techniques have failed. Take heed, not all sales can close on the first or even second or third time. Because of this, it's often necessary to set a callback visit to continue the so-called conversation. Like most parts of a selling process, the callback is one of those recurring situations that you, or your sales team, will find yourself need to revisit prospects countless times a day or week to try to close again. Agree or not? Because of this, it's important that you develop and then script out a best practice second or third approaches to close the sale effectively. Unfortunately, many sales reps have never given the callback visit, or very many other parts of their sale, much thought. Instead, they ad-lib it and so develop ineffective and bad habits. You get the idea. I am sure you will. A bad examples includes, by the way, when should I follow up with you? This is obviously a weak return visit setup and may lose control of the call again to the prospect. As strange as it may sound, this may result in over 50% of sales reps being failed to handle the call back close exercise. Here is an excellent example of the proper way to set a callback visit. Mr. Prospect, in terms of talking to your partner, what time today can you do that? Sometimes it's better to assume they can and will be speaking with the other person that same day. This works best in a small company or in a business-to-consumer sale. If you know it's going to be later in the week or another time, then change the script accordingly. Hence, try, Mr. Potential Customer, when is the soonest you'll be speaking with them? By doing it the first way, you'll either be setting or confirming the time frame and controlling the callback visit. If they can't do it that day, then they'll come back with a more definite day and time. And that will keep you in tighter control of the sales cycle. After they let you know, say, okay, great. I'm looking at my calendar for that day. What's better for you on that Tuesday, morning or afternoon? Now you're locking down not only the day, but also the time. You're getting them involved and having them check their schedule. Once again, you are controlling the call back. And by doing it this way, you're not letting a lot of time pass between when they speak to their partner and when you do your presentation again. Here's what I'd suggest. Since you're likely to have some questions come up between our next call, how about I reach out to you in 1 week? 2 weeks, whatever is appropriate, just to see if there is anything I can convince you again to reconsider your buying decision. I've got my calendar in front of me. How does suggest a day and time look for you? Once again, you are driving the sales cycle and the callback visit. This is crucial to keep you top of mind and to allow you to head off any problems that might come up during the decision process. Do you notice a trend? Once again, I'm in control of the callback time frame. And don't worry, if that's not okay with them, they'll suggest another day time that is. Setting a callback like this keeps the sale moving forward and keeps them from falling through the cracks. Workable, you bet. Now what happens if they want to call you back and won't allow you to set the callback date? 2 things. One is that this isn't a good sign. It means they want to control the sales cycle, which is never good, and, number 2, it can also mean there is unsolved buying objection that is standing in the way of the sale. You get the idea. When this happens, you should try to move the callback date out just a little further and still try to control when you get to callback meetup. Try. I understand. What's the timeline for this? Qualify for timeline first. Then, tell you what, if I don't hear from you in the next 30 days, whatever is appropriate, then I'll get in touch with you to see if there are any buying doubts. What do you prefer, mornings or afternoons? Once again, you're in control of the callback, and you've got a definite time frame and time of day to call back and close the sale again. The bottom line with the callback call is to keep control of when it happens. Never leave it up to your prospect. Try to lock down the soonest date after any event that is going to happen, like them speaking to a partner, etc. Next, get them involved by having them check their calendar and identify a time of day. Try to get their buyer in on that day for the 2nd or 3rd time. By getting better at directing the sales cycle, you'll get closer to closing the deals happen on the 2nd attempt. Make it a point to get good at this, and all other selling stages. Summary. Just to refresh your mind on this chapter, it is good to remind ourselves the resounding words of Michelangelo Caruso. Next, do recall that we need to try to close as many as 6 times. The call back close is a last-ditch effort to conclude the difficult close. Always develop and then script out for best practices in our 2nd or more approaches to handle the final sale. Ultimately, do remember to ensure the call back close process is under your control. Never leave it up to your prospect. Get my drift? You bet. Conclusion. Therefore, to wrap up this chapter 20 on callback close or lost sales close, we must be prepared to use this method to close every difficult sales. There is nothing to lose since the other closing methods has failed. In all honesty, I, myself, has tried this method. It worked most of the time. But be prepared to face failures. If you don't try, you have failed already. At any case, to take failures as stepping stone. Agree or not? All said and done, I believe we shall part company. Until we meet again, hope to see you in the next chapter. Goodbye and thanks a million. P.S. Should you need to acquire this book, How to Close Every Sales and Every Time, you can always contact the author and club's president CTM Joseph SFNG at josephsing@gmail.com. Or call 601-238-78592. Thanks.